anytime you have a game like that, it's an impressive deal. We were kind of waiting. Last year he was still coming off that knee injury and getting the confidence in it. He's a young guy with a lot of talent and a really good future.
How's he handled getting a lot of attention suddenly, and I'm sure with his family and friends, but even maybe his teammates?
He's a good young man. He's a fun guy to be around.
Last year, was it more physically he had to get up to speed after the knee injuries, or did he have a lot to learn as far as pass blocking and that sort of thing?
Well, it's always in their freshmen coming in, the learning curve. But, it's hard when you come back from a major injury, and I always talk about people about knee injuries. There's two parts to it. There's the physical rehab and the mental rehab. Being able to go stick your foot in the ground and trust that stability is going to be there. And then getting the confidence to still run. The guy who hasn't run for a couple of years. So it's been good. And a lot of what you saw there was what he built up during the spring. That was one of our goals offensively, was to get him a ton of carries, let him get comfortable and run the ball.
Was Saturday the day that he sort of got that mental part of the
He kind of hit a couple things, and I think Coach Gould did a great job helping him, and he made one spectacular run, and the other one just blew by everybody. So, he's got some talent.
How much have you, I know you were pretty hopeful about the way they used the tight ends, and now with Hagan down and Rogers a little iffy, it's the best laid plans by some men kind of falling by the wayside.
Football.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you do to adjust?
Well, a little bit. You always bring the young guys along. The next guy's got to step up, but then you got to tailor the play. That's one good thing about what we do is there's always, try to put our personnel in the game to get the best people in there. Just like we've tried to use our tailbacks and have two of them at times. So that's something we got to continue to do, and again, adjust when we have to adjust.
Does that mean put more shoulders on the running backs and the wide receivers now that they kind of have to be a little bit of a bigger part?
They're going to have to play a little bit more. Yeah. When you take a couple veteran guys out, and Richard's not really a veteran guy, but he's getting there. You got to adjust in other ways. Young guys got to step up, and then you got to adjust your plans.
Do you expect to have Rogers to the team?
I leave all the injuries. Yeah. My new quote: I'm leaving all the injuries to the head coach.
Okay.
How's that?
More in your wheelhouse. How come Schlinken's shotgun snaps have been deteriorating?
That's a good way of looking at it. He was consistently low all game long, and he got a little frustrated. And it's kind of like his snaps have been good. I don't know if they've been deteriorating. I said last game they weren't good. They're consistently low. And he got a little bit off rhythm with it and got some things. We've worked on some stuff this week and changed little fundamental things. And his snaps have been pretty solid this week in practice. So there's a feel to that. And there's obviously there's technique, but it's also a feel. It's nice to tie it into a golf swing or and sometimes you get a little bit off. You got to get back to basics.
I noticed Maximo was in there kind of at the end in the enclosed part of the stadium with all the noise and had that look on his face. Is he going to get more PT as we move forward?
We'll kind of see how the game plays out. He's a young guy he's very hard-working, very smart, intelligent young guy. That's been able to pick a lot of stuff up and probably do more than you could do with a guy in his situation. We'll see how the game unfolds and how he fits into that.
Part of it's still, practice speed is one thing and classroom is one thing, but then the game.
And then getting out there and doing it and all those things. But he's done a great job picking up the offense.
How are they defensively in terms of putting pressure on the quarterback? I know last year was a difficult game for Dak down there, or up here against them.
They're good. They got such great speed, obviously. They move and in their pressures they move a lot of guys, and those things you have to be real good with your. It's not the power that we saw last week from Ohio State. The power and the mass. It's more the speed and the quickness and the change of direction that we have to deal with.
His decision making has to be just so quick.
Well, yeah, and then we got to protect that. We can't. We got to again getting back to basic fundamentals. If you look at our last game, our sets went back. We got away from our basic fundamentals, and sometimes the harder you try at those things, the more you make it work.
You run block pretty well.
Better in some ways. I like to be more consistent.
Right.
I think and that's kind of what I've said all along with this group is I think we're going to get better every week. And by the end we'll be pretty good. But we don't have a lot of patience. We got to get better now.
You need to be better now in pass blocking.
Yes.
Who's your right tackle this week?
We'll see. Again, I don't want to comment on injuries, but we'll see if some of his depth still or Phil Tindall will be there.
Considering the environment and quality of opposition, how would you grade Jack Maynard's game? It seems like maybe one of the best he's had.
I think he had a real solid game. Made some good throws, some good reads, managed the game real well. And like we're at the third game going into the fourth game now, I think he's going to take another step and keep going.
What are the things he can still do better, you think?
Well, you guys keep asking these questions, but I'm like, everybody always gets better. So,
It's just degrees of things.
it's just degrees of things.
It seems when he is pressured, when he is moving, he's better when that's happening as opposed to when he has all day to throw. Then it's like, oh, where do I go?
Yeah. Well, he's made some good things, and we got to help him out too. There's a one time in there, we got to. Especially when the quarterback gets out of the pocket, scramble happens, we got to get receivers to get to the open spots, and that's got to happen a little bit better. But Zach is very good on the move, and you like that about him, his ability to make things happen. As coaches, we always want to diagram everything perfect, and then you put on highlights and you see some guy doing something special and making a play, and Zach has that ability, and that's what's so good about it.
When it breaks down like that, I presume Zach has a pretty good feel for where Keenan's going to be, but with those freshman wideouts, is that what they have to learn how to do?
Well, we have scramble rules, we call it, and when the quarterback starts scrambling, everybody has to get to certain spots, and then that way he's got a progression to look for and open areas to look.